Hello and welcome back to not only the channel but also to this series of videos on North and South Ponto Beach in Carlsbad, California. In part one, we got a general overview of the beach and looked at a lot of really cool rocks, and we're going to continue doing that today. And we still have yet one more video coming of this beautiful place. I recorded a lot of stuff because it's a fascinating geological formation in terms of the berms of rocks that we will be seeing, and also the rocks themselves, and perhaps the impact that the jetties that we see further on in the video may have on the formation of this berm. Very interesting stuff, so come along. I think you'll find it worth your while. And again, make sure you stick around for that third video coming up in about 9 days, if I stick to my schedule. Hello, my name is Chris, and I'm a rockaholic. I'm gradually working my way closer to where the river comes out there. I'm kind of wanting to check that out since I'm almost there, and maybe walk across and see what the other beach looks like. But I did find this cool oyster shell. I'm not really an avid shell collector because, as you well know, they break quite easily. But for those of you who like shells, here's the first real shell I've seen here. I've seen a few bones. It looks like the birds of prey maybe bring their food up here to eat, because there are droppings and little piles of bones here and there. But so far, really not much by way of shells. And what I'm doing is, because there's so many rocks, you've probably figured it out by now, I'm kind of filling my pockets with a little pile, and then I spread them out and take a photo of them for you. And I'm starting to do the dry photo followed by the wet photo, because if I stopped and talked about every rock, I'd still be where I came in, and the video would be hours long. Lots of these porphyries. Anyway, so much fun. I can't wait till the drizzle starts. Rounded up a few interesting pieces. For those of you who are petrologists or geologists, I'd like to know what, in a basalt or a rhyolite, I believe this is basalt, and at first glance it looks like clasts, like a breccia or pieces of another basalt within the matrix, but it's not. This is similar to one we saw earlier, where it appears to all be the same rock. There's not really a definite line where the clast ends and the matrix begins. You can see these black areas are harder than the rest. I'm curious if any of you have any ideas how that happens in a volcanic rock or in a magma. Just interesting. Probably something to do with the cooling process and how the blacker material is obviously harder, but whether it cooled first or after the matrix, it's hard to tell. If it's even matrix in class, I think it's not. That's why I'm hoping you guys can tell me. And then we've got a beautiful, appears to be olivine, nice green veins going through there. But it's just pretty. And then of course we've got a few more. These are actually quite common, these porphyries with the two different varieties of phenocrysts in them. And other than that, just some pretty rocks. Let's see what they look like wet. Oh yeah, colors. Everything's more colorful when it's wet. Remember that these rhyolites originated in what is today northern Mexico and were washed down by ancient river systems into conglomerate deposits that are now eroding. And here they are, washing up on this beach. What a story these rocks could tell. I set the spray bottle and the beginnings of my new little pile that I want to photograph and film for you guys. And I'm looking over here in the trough. You see there's a low spot between the two berms. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another little berm right there. So there's 5 berms here. But on the lee side of this biggest one, there are shells. Here's an oyster. Here's a whole one. Actually, there's a lot of them. So this is what I was talking about earlier when we looked at the older berm over there, and I said it was covered with shell fragments. So you can see the lighter stuff, shells and pieces of wood and whatnot, kind of gather where they're in a sheltered location. So I think we're seeing some of that going on. I'm almost to the jetty, I think this is called. Yeah, that's gonna be, I wonder if that'll be interesting to check out as well. We're almost there. I just keep finding more goodies for you guys. So look at these beautiful large vesicles. There's only 2 of them on the rock, but look at the vivid lime green. We're looking at it dry here. Oh, this is perfect. I'm getting the sun to shine in there. We'll look into the other one. I'm guessing it's a rhyolite with some vesicles. And art. This rock made me think of you and the dendritic rhyolites we find in the Yellowstone River. Obviously this is a slightly different material, but it also has that dendritic manganese, maybe manganese dendrites. I'm just guessing out loud. They're pretty predominant throughout the rock. Nice porphyry with vesicles. This also made me think of the Yellowstone River. Lots of these in the Yellowstone. Similar material. As I begin to see repeated rhyolite varieties here, I wonder if their original sources have ever been sought out or mapped, or if they are likely all long gone through erosion. Yeah, this rock wet is really cool. I'm guessing that's olivine, or epidote perhaps. It may have come in after the rhyolite formed. That's what it looks like to me. Tell me your thoughts, guys. You'll see in the next video that I find yet another one of these on the beach here. And I also have one in Granite Paradise that I found quite a few years ago. Beautiful material. I'm gonna scurry my way down this berm and go check out the beach down there. It's a long ways down. Whoa. There's some people to give you an idea of the scale. That is a lot of rocks. They're not all agates, but there's a lot of cool stuff, guys. Let's not forget the black sand. Look at this over here. I know the water comes rushing in here because I just saw it a minute ago. A minute ago, I was at the bottom of the berm and I pointed over and I said, there's some people or a person for reference. Well, that gentleman, he was digging up some rocks here for his garden. And I asked him that if he knew anything about the history. I mean, look how tall this berm is. And he said it started about 30 years ago. He said some of the beaches around here, they kind of manicure the beach. They bring in sand and things like that. But this particular beach is left natural because the community here locally doesn't have the budget for that. Remember I said earlier, can you imagine if they brought this in on purpose or did any project like that, what that would cost? So anyway, I'm glad I was able to talk to him. He confirmed what I was imagining. He said it started about 30 years ago with just a little pile. And so right here, I'm standing on the north side of this structure here. I'm still not sure what it is, if it's a creek that comes in or a road or what. The structure is the entrance to the Batiquitos Lagoon, which is mostly man-made and not a river at all. The berm we are seeing here is on North Ponto Beach, as evidently these jetties mark the dividing line between north and south. So as the tides and the storms bring rocks, they're sheltered here and they get deposited. But look how high up I am. I'm probably 30 feet above or 40 feet above where those waves are. So that gives you an idea of how violent the storms can be. This is absolutely amazing. He was collecting some rocks for his garden, so I guess it is okay to collect here, especially if the rocks are considered a nuisance. But I'm flying out of here in a few days. I will not be taking rocks with me other than the thousands that I already have on my phone. All right, let's keep checking this area out. The rocks are bigger here, I noticed. That's probably why the gentleman is here getting them. Another interesting thing I'll point out here, remember earlier at the beginning of the video, we saw some chunks of granite that I said they looked like they'd obviously been brought in. This appears to be the same material or very similar. And again, if the longshore movement is from here towards there, it makes sense that in some storm, some chunks of this broke off and washed down the way. It appears to be just that, some kind of granite. Obviously hauled in. But it really gives you a scale to measure this berm by. Let's go up and over and see what there is. I keep hoping for the drizzle. Ooh, there's a... Nope, nothing that I thought it was. Now look at this. This is interesting. These rocks are a much lighter color in concentration. Again, remember, lighter things move a little further. Ugly granite. Yeah, I'll walk along with you guys if it starts drizzling, and I'll just walk slow and not talk, and you guys can pick out some cool rocks. Bird poop. I believe this is called ice plant or something like that, and supposedly it was brought in just to do what you're seeing. It kind of holds back the sand. So what do we got over here? All right, I was correct on the map, the Google Earth view or whatever you call it. I saw a waterway coming in. Okay. And the gentleman told me, which I think you can see from here, he said the south side of this is much better. Way less rocks as far as people who like a sandy beach. And I don't know if maybe the rocks are washing down this and then circling back around and piling up. San Diego residents or Carlsbad residents, I look forward to your comments down below. I'm sure glad I got to talk to that guy. May God bless him for his several minutes that he gave me out of his day. So I'm walking across the bridge here. Back that way is the rocky beach, but check this out over here. So just south of the waterway, you can see no rocks. So I need to find out if where I intended to go was South Ponto Beach, and the Uber driver wanted to take me further down this way. But I remembered the place that I stopped with Grant, and I wanted to get off there because I knew there were rocks. So if I would have went with my hunch that it was South Ponto Beach, I would have been very disappointed, because I mean, it's a beautiful beach, but as far as rocks go, there isn't much here. Although, wait a minute, I'm on top of, let's see if this is rocks or sand. There's a little bit of rocks. All right, maybe I spoke too soon. Way fewer though. Yeah, nothing like on the other side. I'll take a quick look around and see if these rocks are any different. But I don't think they are. I think these rocks, in fact, you can see the shell fragments. So we're walking on what correlates to the older berms that I mentioned over there that had the shell fragments on them. And there is no new berm. Let's put it that way. Interesting. These jetties appear to be interrupting the southward longshore drift, causing the massive pileup of cobbles on the north and the lack of them here on the south side. Hey, this is cool, guys. If you're into geology of beaches, maybe hydrology, I'm not sure what it relates to. But again, referring back to the older berm that I showed over there with all the shell fragments. So you can clearly see that this beach has no massive berm of rocks, and therefore the waves are able to get to this sand bank here. But look at this. So here's a bunch of sand with a little bit of gravel in it. But look at this layer here, full of shell fragments. So again, at some point back in the past, this is probably from the same time period. We're not talking millions of years or nothing. I mean, this is still just sand, so it's recent geology, relatively speaking. But at some point, there were a lot more shells washing up and getting mixed in with the gravel. And now with this new berm, there are really not many shells. It's just an interesting observation. Of course, here we have lots of black sand that's been walked on, so it's been disturbed. Oh, check this out. So here, let's see what this looks like inside. I think this is a deposit of various, yeah, see, it's got black underneath and then light color. Yeah, beautiful. We covered that more extensively in the Torrey Pines Beach video. Yeah, lots of black sand here. Okay, the sun is shining. Can you see the sparkle? Looks like black diamonds. You know, silicone carbide, I think it is, that you guys buy for rock tumbling. It looks like that, except it's extremely heavy. Oh, yeah, that's probably the purest I've ever picked up right there. Very cool. In case you did not get to see that Torrey Pines Beach video, here is the slide I provided there explaining the formation and accumulation of the black sand. I came back to the north side of the waterway, and again confirming what I said about the older berm, for lack of a better term. Here's the gravel, and look at all the shell fragments. And now the new reality for this beach. It has been taken over by rhyolite. Mostly rhyolites, basalts, and a few other things. All right, let's get back and we'll find more treasures. It's just a matter of picking stuff up until you... Here's a nice porphyry. Are you guys tired yet? I've already been here, I think, 3 hours. I'm gonna stick around this little spot though, because the rocks are a lot bigger. Yeah, let's see what we can find. I found the log to take a break on, so let's see what this looks like wet. Oh yeah. Yeah, if we didn't know where this was from, we'd think it's from Art. When you and I were in Columbus, we found a few like this. Yellowstone River. I've got one hand gloved and one hand without a glove so that I can operate the camera. I don't think we're gonna get the rain. They said we were supposed to get some rain. It's looking pretty clear right now. What a cool way to spend the day. So I decided to come back towards the north, leaving the waterway behind, and I had to find a restroom. I'm kind of staying here all day, so that was necessary. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back past where I came in and just walk down a ways. The guy I was talking to said that the berm kind of gets smaller down that way, and I just want to see if the rocks vary. And if I find something interesting in between, I'll get back with you, like that right there. It's kind of a pretty color. Sparkly, maybe it's granite. Or it's got black sand on it. Also, I'll point out the smaller rocks seem to be a higher density of darker materials. I have a friend who likes, now this one's no good. He likes the totally smooth ones because they're like therapeutic to have in your hand. There are a bunch of those here. So let's see what we can find further down the way. Okay, so we're about even with the little pathway that I walked down. You can see the seagulls there. So the berm is definitely getting smaller as we head north. Some cliffs there, cliffs up ahead I might want to go check out. Don't worry guys, we'll look for some more rocks here in a little while. I want to take advantage of the opportunity while I have the time to explore a little more and see what's here in the event that I ever decide to come back or am able to come back. Look how the black sand responds to each rock. That's so cool. Lots of sparkle. That up ahead looks interesting. It's either more gravel or a lot of black sand. See what we find when we get there. Considering that I knew nothing about this beach and had never been here before, I've been able to learn so much today, and thanks for letting me share it with you literally as I'm learning it. We are discovering it together. I just happen to be the one holding the camera. Be sure to watch our third and final video where we really see some amazing rock finds and more spectacular beach scenery. We'll see you then.